Assembly required, but listeners' discretion is advised. Sit back, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe or follow. Now, let's not keep you waiting. It's time to welcome your hosts of TNT Podcast, Tara and Tina.
Welcome. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of TNT Podcast with your hosts, the beautiful Tina and myself, Tara. You can follow us on Instagram at TNT Podcast Show or on Twitter at T_N_T Podcast. We are also available on all the listening platforms as well, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're back tonight, episode 20, if you can believe it.
Wow.
We've done 20 shows. Tonight is episode 20, The Man, the Myth, the Legend. And we're back with our performance shop series and featuring Hemituner Performance. We're really excited to introduce our next guest. He has been called a wizard of track performance. He's a record setter. He's an innovator. And actually a little bit of a unicorn to me. So I've heard so many awesome things about this guy. I've just never had the opportunity to talk to him. So let's welcome our guests. Actually, AJ Berge is welcoming with us tonight, and his media guru, David Hakeem. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for joining
us.
For having us.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to say, AJ, thank you so much for taking the time with us tonight. Like I said before,
we're happy to be here.
You've been kind of a unicorn to me. I've heard so many awesome things about you, but just never had an opportunity to talk to you. And I think it took 3 years for you to add me to your Facebook.
It took really bad with the friend request. That's why I have David.
I'm just joking. Yeah.
That's why has me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So David's here to help AJ out. And I just want to also just first off congratulate you and your team on just an incredible season this year. And we'll definitely get into those events a little bit later. I've got some media to show. You had a win in Norwalk, which is super awesome. And you made it to the finals in Indy. And this was the Holly EFI
Factory Supercar
series, which you were a first-time competitor, from what I've been told as well.
Yes.
So we'll get to that. But just take us back a little bit. Hemituner Performance, I believe you started in 2008. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started in 08. Really, at the time I was a dealer technician, and I had a shop at, kind of as an annex of the dealer. And then I got hired by Arrington Performance at the time to head their calibration department. And that went on for 5 years. It was 5 great years. And then when that went away in 2014, that's when I officially started Hemituner Performance. But everybody knew me as Hemituner before then.
Okay.
And before that, believe it or not, I was into Shelby Dodges and.
Uh-oh.
I think you froze.
Okay. Poor AJ, he was freezing a little bit earlier. It's totally fine. He'll come back out and come back in again.
Yeah, so wait.
There.
So how are you, David?
Yeah.
It's been an interesting season.
I'm back.
No, there he is.
He's back. There he is. Doesn't take him long.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Yeah, have you always been into performance cars?
I don't know what's going on with the internet tonight.
It's okay.
Yeah, so back then it was Shelby Tech, and then when I got into the Hemi cars, it was Hemituner. So it kind of started not as a full-time business at first, and then obviously grew into what it is today. So I'm a pretty lucky guy. These cars have been very good to me, and so have the people, my customers, my clients, my wife. A lot of it takes an army to do this stuff, and especially now, branching out and doing this factory supercar deal, and the other being crew chief. over on the NHRA side with Schumacher, like a lot of moving parts.
Yes, actually, I wanted to talk about Don Schumacher Racing in a bit, but you offer a wide range of things with Hemituner, from crate engines to drivetrains. This is just a picture of taken off your website. Many different packages to go through. You do all the tuning. And I wanted to talk about the drag pack. So obviously, well, not obviously, there's a lot of people that don't know maybe, but you were the first charger in the sevens,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you've got some records there, and you still have the charger,
Still have the charger.
right?
And we almost went sevens blower only at when we raced Streetcar Takeover. We won that event earlier, in the beginning of the season in February. That was a big one. We set at the time we had, I think the record's been broken since then, but we went 8-12 in competition blower only at heavyweight weight, which was 4,200 pounds. So
Wow.
the Charger's good to me. The Charger's old reliable.
Yeah, I actually have a clip of that record of you getting into the sevens. Just gonna show everybody just quickly here. I think that's the one, isn't it?
Wow.
That
Yes.
was actually the second pass that we ever made. So funny story about that. We sent the car down there so I could try to run the record. Ended up being a record heat in Florida.
Oh, wow.
And I left. I was supposed to come down the day before. I went to leave my house in New York, and I slipped down the steps that were all ice,
Oh.
and ended up in the hospital that day.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
and then ended up like having to stay home, and then switched my flight and got on the plane the next day. So we were supposed to try to do that over 2 days. Ended up having to do it in one day, like one shot. So it was, and again, it ended up being record heat. It ended up being like 84 degrees that day.
That's crazy.
When the week before it was like 60.
Wow.
Right.
I actually, Tim Holmberg, a friend of yours, sent me this picture. This was taken apparently after that record setting. So
yes,
I thought I'd just call this the dream team.
Tim, listen, I know, Tim Barth and I have been friends for years, and Tim, I mean, I met Tim through the Demon, through the Legions of Demon. I mean, he's amazing. You want to talk about like a wonderful person and someone who just turned into an amazing friend. I mean, that's Tim Holmberg. I mean, his whole family, his father, I mean, his wife, his children, they're just wonderful people. They really, really are.
And that's what it's about too, right? The people you meet, the friendships.
It really is.
It's a family.
That's how all this started, I think, Jimmy just texted me. He needs my trailer keys. He's 7 minutes away. So
is that True Street, Jimmy?
That's True Street, Jim. Yes.
So are you?
Jimmy, we're busy.
Yeah.
We share. We have we're in the same building.
Okay, gotcha.
We're in the same building.
Now you also were the first red eye, I think, in the nines. Were you not?
We were. So that picture is actually when we went 9-18, and that was so Tim Barth. I had just finished doing pro stock stuff, and I got together with Tim Barth, and Tim's like, "Oh man, you really need to come out and bring your car out." And I had a Hellcat, and then I had traded in Hellcat to get a red eye, ended up getting the red eye, and then had demon envy. So I sold the red eye. But before all of that, Tim Barth and I decided to do it together, where I was going to have the red eye. We were going to show up at Rockingham and put it right in the nines, like that day. I was helping Tim with some stuff. And like I said, we've been friends for a long time. So, we were kind of chuckling about it. So, let's see, in typical Tim fashion, like, let's see how many people we can piss off. So we went out there, and I think it was in like 2 or 3 passes, like put the thing in the nines. And then, all the internet haters came out, and everybody's like, oh, it's gutted. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's got upper and lower pulley. So I literally took it home. I called Tim up. I'm like, should we really show him like how fast it can really go? And like that day, the car had 200 miles on it. Like that day, changed the upper pulley and the lower pulley, because originally it was stock. It was stock boost.
Okay.
We went 985 with it. And then so then I immediately put an upper, lower on it, right to the dyno, right to the track, 9.1 at 150. And we would have gotten it into the 8s. But this guy, used to my Charger, you used to run them, quarter of a tank, and the saddle would be full. It'd be full 5 gallons in the saddle. Well, I unfortunately learned that day, it's not the same with a red eye. And it left the starting line. It went like 120 flat, 60 foot. I mean, it was on a mission. And it got to the 8th mile, and it just nosed over, and I had to let out of it. Subsequently, it came back, and I had to bring it back and pull the motor out of it, bent 3 connecting rods because I ran it out of fuel.
Well, I know they suck the gas, like once you get near the end there.
We had gone 918 to 150. It was a record at the time. And, again, that was just Tim and AJ fooling around. And I got poked for it a little bit, but
yeah, that's
racing. Part of it.
Yeah, that's racing, right? So now you've got the 2021 drag pack, and let's just talk about the drag pack for a minute. Now, as most of us know, this is the holy grail of the beasts for the Dodge muscle car lineup. They're a special car. They only made so many. You had to be on a particular list to even have a shot at one.
Yes.
Maybe tell us a little bit about the drag packs.
So the drag packs, obviously they're numbered cars. They made 50 of them. I was fortunate enough to get number 24. Wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it at first, how I was going to compete with it. And then literally on my way back from picking the car up when I got hired by Schumacher to come on board and be Mark Pauk's crew chief. So that being said, what ended up happening was I brought the car home. It sat, and then I went racing with Schumacher, started learning the ropes, learning, what the cars wanted and everything else. And then I decided to use mine as a test bed to try and see if I could gain more experience myself with the program. And we kind of took off from there.
Gotcha. Now, I don't know if I heard Keys.
Yeah.
Tell him he has to say hi.
I've never met Jim.
Hello,
either.
Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy.
Jimmy, say hi.
Hi, how are you, buddy?
Jimmy.
How are you? Good.
Good. Good to see you. Welcome to the show.
We're going to the track tomorrow, so
nice.
We're going to the track walk in the 8s tomorrow.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll be right behind you, AJ, but in the Durango.
Yeah. She was
Scott's
the
probably
fastest.
listening, going, "Oh my God."
She was the fastest, blower only.
Anyway,
she hates when I bring it up, but I mean, it's like it's awesome. These records are like awesome, right? So I always try to bring it up.
The drag pack ended up, like I said, the more I dove into it, and having the exposure with, the NHRA side of it with Schumacher.
Right.
Man, these cars, you want to talk about competitive? I mean, compared to a lot of the stuff that we're used to. I mean, it's like just super the level of competition that you have, especially on the NHRA side, with Aaron Stanfield and David Barton and all of these. I mean, these people are super experienced, have hundreds, if not several hundred passes under their belt. You're really thrusting yourself into a really competitive environment, and like there's no mercy. Like these people don't care who you are, where you can't, like it all stops when you hit the burnout box, and that's it. And the cars are to run a drag pack. I mean, if you want to be, there's really two levels of drag pack. There's I want to be a participant, or I want to be competitive. To go out there and be competitive, I mean, it's not one size fits all. I mean, we change rear end ratios. Sometimes it can be round by round.
Wow.
It all depends on the weather. You're changing transmissions and converters and stators into converters, and your maintenance window. I mean, you only get, if you really are running fast, you get maybe 20, 30 passes out of the motor, and it's time to come out.
Yeah, I was actually wanted to ask you about that because I didn't know if it was a rumor, but somebody had mentioned that, the engine's only good for so many passes, and you spend oodles of money for these cars, and yeah, it's just so wild to me that
a spare engine that's competitive that will run, top half of the field. It's a $70,000 investment.
Wow.
For the engine.
Just the engine.
That's just the engine. That's supercharged oil pan. I mean, it's a very complex like group of parts, and not to mention, the parts are hard to get. I mean, you can't just get a block. It's not like a Hellcat. It's not
right. You can just order.
Like you can't just get the stuff. And then once you get it, I mean, they're all race parts. I mean, everything is super, you have to really stay on top of it. You're changing spark plugs and constantly flowing fuel injectors, and you're tearing the car down to zero after every race and going through every nut, bolt, screw, washer.
Incredible.
It is a commitment, and that's the reason why you don't see a lot of the cars show up at extra events. Like the maintenance schedule, I have two engines for mine, and I mean, I always
really got to be picky.
They're never both together at the same time.
Gotcha.
One's out at the machine shop, and one's in the car.
Right.
I just me personally, to stay competitive and all the stuff I'm testing. I mean, I have 11 superchargers just for the drag pack.
Wow.
I mean, it's and I'm just one car. Now you take an organization like we have at Schumacher where we have 3 cars. So amongst 3 cars, we have to have 12 engines, 15 superchargers plus spare parts, plus 2 transmissions for every car, plus 3 different rear ends for every car. Like it's really a commitment to run these cars competitively, and that's what's such a big deal for me, to be able to come this far this season in NMCA, because it was not my expectation to be there. I didn't expect to finish top 10. I had more of a participant mentality where I'm just looking to gain the experience so I can give my drivers on the NHRA side an edge. And when they drive the car and they give me feedback, I can feel what I kind of know what they're feeling. I kind of know what they're seeing. Perfect example of that. One of our drivers, car does a big wheelie, you end up in 3rd gear, then you're in neutral, and you know, and from face value, everybody's like, well, how'd you miss a shift? Like, how'd you do that? Like, believe me, when you're in these things on that little 9-inch tire and the thing's making moves that you didn't want it to make, it's really hard to stay, you know, sometimes you have to save the car.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got a
Like,
really
we
good
drive these cars. Like we have to drive them.
Yeah. Well, and you collect all the data too, right?
Yes.
Like every run, you're collecting
Every run.
information. But this is like just an amazing picture. I think, David, you might have taken this one. Just insanity.
That was a big one.
So, AJ, you finished third in points for your
In
first
NMCA,
season,
yes.
right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is just like, I mean, you were a first-time competitor and you get to the finals in Indy. And actually, I guess I've got some really awesome media for that. When you got to the finals, let me just bring this up here and show the audience. So this is in Indianapolis.
Wow. 773 with a 4.
That was actually
Awesome.
qualifying. That was actually a
Yeah,
that qualifying?
That was Q3. Yep.
Because I was going to say that looked like a baby wheelie compared to the next video.
That was a baby wheelie. That's what we wanted.
But what
then
you
I tried-
got?
So that put me number one qualifier until Chuck Watson came up the next round and right behind me and obliterated it. Ran 761.
Wow.
So of course for Q4 we came back and we turned the screw in, and that's where you got the other picture from.
So is this? I've got two clips here of. I think this is the final round that you're talking about, but they're two different views. So here's the first one, and these wheelies are just like incredible.
So that was Q2.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
It was Q2, yep, and it got away from me. And that one you could see I was way out of the groove.
Right.
When you came,
I had to abort the run. Yeah, it
Right.
was. So what happened was it was up, and it felt good for a minute, and then it went left, and I had to abort. But see, that's the thing when I say you have to drive them. When you're in a situation like that, when you abort, you can't just abort. I mean, the thing's this high.
Yeah.
So when it comes down, I mean, you can tear a lot of stuff up. So you have to like whomp the throttle to try to get it,
catch it,
to come down.
Right.
But again, like there was another situation. Like by that time, I already knew I was out of the groove. I didn't want to hit Warren in the next lane or take out a timing cone or so. Yes, we definitely figured out how to do the wheelie.
Yeah. Well, actually,
we're bringing it back a little bit.
This next clip is the same pass, but it's a different view, and you really get to see how high up you are here.
But the
It was
best
hard.
part,
It's so cool.
The best part, because of that run, Warren Walter had to buy us all dinner because AJ had a better light. He had an 035 light.
Oh yeah. So this happens. Yeah, this happens where in the staging lanes we'll be like, okay, who's buying dinner tonight? Like, what do you want to do it on? Oh, we'll do it on reaction time. And if you look at the scoreboard, I only nipped him by 2 thousandths. He was mad. He was mad. He had to buy dinner over 2,000.
That's crazy. Yeah, I just as mentioned to David earlier, like be awesome to have an inboard camera and just get a shot of what you see that sky when you're up like that. Like what is that like? Like that is just amazing.
It's pretty neat. It's a little bit unnerving for me, just because just the dynamics involved, and I don't like the big wheelie. I really don't like it. I don't like.
Does it in fact slow you down?
It does.
Does it? Right.
It does. The car is faster when it's moving forward, not up. But the other side of that is, what goes up must come down.
Yeah.
And when it comes down, if you don't catch it right, it's ugly. I mean, so we ended up at Maple Grove. David did a huge wheelie. It came down hard, ended up compromising the oiling system. And you don't really know what happened because everything kind of looks normal until the next run and it airs the rods out of it. So thing leaves the starting line, the next pass, and 1 second in the pass, the oil pressure goes to zero. And again, you're a driver at that point. You're focused on getting to the finish line. You don't see it. You don't hear it.
Right.
They're loud. They're ornery. They're, these engines, turn big RPM. I mean, they're mini pro stock engines with superchargers is really what they really are. So you're really in the moment in the car, and you're tuned into getting to whatever fixed point you're aiming for at the end. And, they're a handful for sure.
Yeah,
but
no kidding.
It's the most fun I've ever had in any Challenger, Charger, or otherwise.
Right.
It's really
you have to be on a particular, a special list, right, in order to get a drag pack. You
did. Yes. I think so. They sold out 50 cars, I think, it was like 6 or 7 minutes.
Wow.
All orders were like everybody who was gonna get on the list got one.
Wow.
And that's it.
Okay.
Now, didn't they first come out in 2009?
They came out in 2009 as just bodies in white. It was kind of like a build your own deal.
Okay.
And
they were like a roller because that was one of the programs I worked on. So we began in 08. It was an 09 car. Basically, you had your choice of 5.7, 6.1, or 392 or 5.9, but it was an unfinished car. It was a roller. So the engine was just set in it. You still had to still had to plumb it, wire it, exhaust. You had to complete the car. And at that time, we really wanted to make it a turnkey car, like the 15 drag packs were, or actually like the 11s. The B10 was the first turnkey drag pack. And we fought with legal to make that, make the original first drag pack a turnkey car, but we just got so much pushback and we're missing our deadline. So we said, okay, we'll give you a roller. You racer guy, gal, you finish it up. And that's what we did. And there's still some out there. They show up every now and then on websites like racingjunk.com or Bring a Trailer. You'll see like an unfinished, as delivered 2009 drag pack. They're kind of cool in a weird sort of way, but yeah, the first turnkey one was the V10 car, the 2011 model. And then from there, they got faster and meaner and more expensive.
And didn't you have the option to, at one time, for naturally aspirated and supercharger? And now it's just supercharger? Is that
correct?
Right?
So the 2015 drag pack, you had two options: 354 cubic inch supercharged engine, or a 426 naturally aspirated engine. They offered two varieties. For 21, you just made it simple. Just one engine, 354 cubic inch Hemi Whipple supercharger. It runs factory stock showdown or factory supercars, or you can run factory super stock A or B with it. You can move it in a different class, or as AJ does, you can run it in an HRA competition eliminator. So there's multiple classes you could run this car in.
That's amazing. Yeah, they're pretty special cars. Really.
They really are. And again, the biggest thing I tell people that have one, that feel that it's not fast, is, don't be discouraged, because the car as delivered, it's like anything else. We buy Hellcats, okay? We buy Hellcats, and a lot of us have Hellcats that run in the 8s and the 9s. But, a guy gets one off the showroom floor and goes out there and runs, 11s with it and is like super disappointed. Like, well, why isn't my car fast? This is all a game of tuning. Like, there's chassis tuning, there's engine tuning, there's transmission tuning. There's all of these aspects. And, Dodge gives you a foundation of a car that will, listen, anybody can take a drag pack, go out there and run 850 index and have a ball.
Right.
And I think there's one gentleman out there that's got one that's actually been running it in factory supercar. I think he said he's got 67 runs on the motor.
What?
Yeah, he's got 67 runs on it. But again, he doesn't.
I was going to say, how is that possible?
Well, he doesn't turn the RPMs that we
right.
turn.
Pushing it.
He has a car that runs well, and
right.
He's happy in the level that he's at. Like, so you can take a drag pack and really run it. I sponsor 850 Index at Cecil County. I've been sponsoring it for the last couple of years. And it's really a great class because anybody with a fast car can go and race 850 Index. And it's super competitive because you have to run on your index. You have to run on your number. But it really gives you an opportunity, or somebody with a drag pack, where they could go out, they have a class that the car fits in that's competitive, and they don't have to go through all the bells and whistles. I mean, if I gave you a walk around of our shootout cars and what it took to get them, the people, the engineering, the money, to get them, at this top level, it's really staggering, and it's really not for anybody. Anybody that has a car, there's a place that you can run it, and there are people that can help you, get to the finish line, no pun intended, and really have a ball with it.
Right.
So, and that's the one thing I've always tried to do. I've had people, be like, oh, we're afraid to approach you, or that's all nonsense. Like, I'm the first one, even when I was racing, against my clients, it's never like that. Like, if you're my client and you're in the next lane, or especially if you're my friend or my colleague, like, I want you to do well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Anything that I have in my stable that's going to help you, do well, like, that's what I'm here for. That's my business. My business is to help people do well with these cars. And, I've had to pick and choose my battles over the years because I am one guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, now I kind of have it narrowed down. I don't do email tuning anymore. I don't do remote tuning because I don't have the time to give the customers that level of attention that they deserve.
Right.
So I go to other areas where I know I can help them, whether it's building the engine, designing the engine dynos, track support, consultation.
Right.
That's kind of been the evolution of Hemituner Performance to where it is today. And that's why I stick with, like the 850 deal at Cecil County is very important to me. Jim Halsey, he's amazing. He's like, AJ, he's like, you sponsor this every year. He's like, you don't really get anything out of it. Like, I do. I do. Because what? When I need the track or I call, and you always pick up the phone, or, if I need to do a photo shoot, you're like, come. And, it really lets me support a class that I love watching. I love helping people participate in, and it's just a good deal all around. So
that's awesome. Now, I just wanted to talk about Don Schumacher Racing a little bit. Now, you've worked on some projects with them. I think you created an 1150 horsepower Hemi crate engine for them, correct?
So we produce a 1150 horsepower pump gas crate engine,
and it's beautiful.
It's a nice engine. So, I do a lot of racing. Obviously, I've done a lot with these cars over the years, and I've used a lot of different engine builders, like most shops. Tina, this with Scott. I mean, it's very hard to find somebody who you can really, click with. And for me, I set myself up with Billy Briggs over in Michigan a few years ago. And since then, we really had we have a good relationship, a lot of feedback, good engine program. He's a wizard with the machining. And when Chad Ozier from DSR approached me and said, hey, do you think we could put a crate engine together? I'm like, well, I have a recipe. Like, let me put a sample engine together and we'll give it a shot. And, that I have a really, Whipple Superchargers is my biggest sponsor of my car. I could not race factory supercar without the support of Dustin Whipple. He always keeps me on the cutting edge. He is absolutely the reason why the Charger went sevens, that Gen 5 Whipple, having access to all that technology. So, I was able to take, and again, this whole thing about grassroots, building relationships, having partnerships. And so between Billy Briggs, Dustin Whipple, my own, ideas and things that I've tested and run with and achieved over the years, we're able to throw an engine program together really, really fast, get it validated, and then get it to market. And that's and Schumacher, obviously standing behind it, has really helped us get there. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
I've actually got a clip of you testing one of these crate engines. Cool. Is that you behind the keyboard?
Yes. So,
nice.
And again, let's talk about grassroots. So that engine dyno is 20 minutes from the shop. That's behind my guy's house. That's
wow.
His garage.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
His garage.
That's quite the setup.
He has a little engine building business out of his house, and through another friend of mine, Jim Kane. He's like a pro mod legend. Again, he comes by and helps me at the shop all the time, helps me put engines together, helps me rebuild my transmissions and service them between races because I can't do it all. And he hooked me up with Rob, who owns that dyno. And again, literally, Chad's like, oh, can we do crate engine program? We literally put this together in 3 weeks, just a bunch of guys that go to the track, have a pedigree with the racing, and we kind of all smash our heads together and come up with this neat stuff. And it's okay, 3 weeks later, we got a video crew, out in the middle of Long Island in somebody's backyard, shooting crate engines. So, I mean, this stuff is really, it's kind of a Cinderella story for me, because I always, to back up for a second, the reason why I wanted the drag pack so bad, and the same with the Demon, when I grew up, I was always mechanical. My dad was a mechanic. From the time I could walk, I was always taking something apart, putting something together, and many, many weekends in the driveway, working with Dad, doing side work and stuff like that. So my dad used to tell me all these stories about direct connection, and there was a Dart, and there was a car that you could buy from the factory, and you couldn't register it. And I grew up kind of listening to all these stories from my father, and and my father could never, my father was a family man. It was me, my sister, quintessential. They moved from Brooklyn out to the suburbs and better life for the kids. And, so my father used to love the racing, but couldn't and never race. And then I got into the racing, and then, the business and everything. I've had all these opportunities. So it was really the drive to get the drag pack and the Demon was there's something for me that, I grew up kind of wanting that for my dad. And it's okay, well, I was able to achieve it. And,
right. That's amazing.
That's
now
great.
We are I literally, I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's great.
You also, there was a Mark Puck, you tuned his car He's got the drag pack as well. He
Yes.
races for Don Schumacher Racing, and he set an NHRA record.
Yes.
Right? 10.
Yes.
7
at the opening event, 760, almost 184.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah. And some people might
was,
recognize
that
Mark
was interesting
as the cowboy.
Yes. Mark, super intense driver. Again, you want to talk about learning things, here's, I spend a lot of time with him and just listening to all of his, accolades as a pro stock driver and being able to feed off of that and learn and coaching and again, this whole thing, like my co-crew chief, Kevin Helms. I mean, here's another guy, right? Like, and he coaches me a lot. We were joking at Indy because the announcers like hyping up the rounds and like,
they're the best.
We got AJ Berge's car tuned by Kevin Helms. Like him and I are laughing like we together we tune all the cars. It's like people are like, oh AJ, you have somebody else tuning your car? It's like, oh yeah, Kevin and I. So I get hit. I get all this experience, and I'm surrounded by all these people who are, Kevin Helms, a 5-time like super stock champion in NHRA, and like I said, this class, the racing, you're surrounded by all these people and all this experience and all these things, and it's like it's a lot to take in, but it's really, really rewarding, and I learn something new every day with these cars, including even still the Hellcats and stuff.
Right.
Just, it really has turned into a career and like just a way of life. These cars.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're kind of sad to see the factory stop, pushing them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sore subject.
Yeah.
It is. And, like, I'm not that knowledgeable in all the electric stuff that's coming out, but can they be tuned? Can they be like, what's going to go down with the performance shops? And like, are there going to be opportunities for these electric cars to do all these things too?
Listen, they said in 2011, we wouldn't be able to tune them anymore. And look
Right.
at where we are now. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Nice to hear.
There are. That's the great thing about racing. Like there are always going to be innovators and people willing to push the envelope and
try new things. And
I tell people that all the time. I see so many people like rocket into this market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rocket in, and you look at the Facebooks and the Instagrams and like everybody's flexing their muscles and like, whoa, like. There are a lot of different people that brought this to what it is. Like
right.
Before you go out there, handing out pink slips to the guy that, you feel that if you make 20 more horsepower than him, you're certain, you're all of a sudden a better person,
Right.
There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time and energy. Let's take Tim Barth for it. Tim Barth's been tuning these cars longer than I have. And, we have to, when people come in like a fire and just start disrespecting the other people that, have been doing it a while, like.
Or what got you here? What got you that car? I mean.
I come from the old school. My dad was a military man. Like, listen, put your pants on the same way as everybody else. Like, don't
exactly.
Don't be a smartass. And so many with the Hellcats, so many pop-up shops, and this guy's talking smack, and this,
fly by night guys, and
it's not even that. And there's some very talented people that came in. But man, sometimes you just need that one guy, and he's just, So again, anybody getting into this stuff, like there's enough cars and there's enough room for everybody. Like,
for sure.
Be humble, hone your craft, And like, it's going to take you places. Like, don't come in looking to burn the building down.
Right.
Right.
Guns a-blazing, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much room. Listen,
that's great advice.
We all can't do all the work.
No, there's plenty of work for everybody.
Exactly.
There's plenty of work for everybody.
We all feed, like listen, if I tune a car and another guy goes out there and goes consistently faster, I'm not looking down on that guy. I'm saying, okay,
what
do I got to do to work harder?
Yes. Right. Yeah, you just got to work hard. You got to find a way. You got to see what's, exactly.
And NHRA is a good place for that, because let me tell you, I mean, all season we made really good runs in the beginning of the season, and we've struggled through the heat of the summer, and things have been starting to come around a little bit. And for our championship season, in NHRA, it's kind of too little too late, but these cars have personalities. Like, trying to get that, we get that 760 run right in March, and we've been trying to get back to that 760 run, and then you have 3 or 4 cars, and you're like, well, why can't I get there? So instead of looking here, you have to look here, and then here, and here, and it all takes time.
Right.
Well, it takes time to do.
You're chasing it, right?
You're chasing it all the time.
I've been chasing a number for 2 years still, so yeah.
On average, from what my experience, like, if you start with a new team, it could take you 2 to 3 seasons to really like get everybody. And you see this in trends in Top Fuel and Funny Car and Pro Stock. These guys are hot now, and they're hot for a period of time, and then everybody catches up, and then they're hot, and then the next group catches up. Like, that's the evolution, and that's good for everybody. That keeps the cars getting faster and faster and faster. It keeps people growing, keep bringing new blood into what we love.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we're here to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question, or it's actually a comment. So a lot of people say that the drag pack is at a disadvantage due to its size, and when compared to the Cobra Jet Mustang and the Copo Camaro. And NHRA always tries to do the balance of performance by hitting one combination with a pulley change, and or weight. And I guess the question I'm going to ask our guests is, like, Adrian, do you feel a Challenger, due to its size and its weight and its width, and do you feel it's at all at a disadvantage to the Copo or to the Cobra Jet?
Good question.
Well, we've been getting our butts kicked, so
I know.
So what are we going to do about it?
It's clearly a disadvantage. However, so all joking aside, like, aerodynamically and from a weight and balance perspective, the Cobra Jet and the Camaro are way, way, way better than the Challenger. But what the Challenger lacks in, it's what the Challenger lacks in the body, it makes up for under the hood.
Right.
We definitely have a lot of power. And believe it or not, even though the other teams are kicking our butt, like, they know we have power.
Right.
So believe it or not, they're winning all the races, but they're complaining about us. They're like, oh, the Challengers have too much power. Like, I don't understand why these guys aren't running 2/10 faster. And, we really, so Kevin Helms was doing the program, 2 cars by himself for, 4 years. And then when I came on board, obviously there's that time where him and I had to, like, figure each other out, because now you have 2 tuners, 2 crew chiefs, like, who's in charge, so we had to get through all of that. But once we were able to get through that, we spent the season. Kevin and I don't race each other at the track with the cars. Is
that just a rule you guys decided to do, or
we decided that the drivers don't necessarily love that, but Kevin and I figured out towards the end of the season that we can do way more as a team than trying to compete against each other.
Right.
And that has paid off.
There you go.
But what we did do was take the cars, and we kind of had to like start all the way over here. And we've been consistently, growing from there. And now we're getting the cars to the point where they're pretty good. What we're working on now is consistency of the package. Believe it or not, getting 3 cars to run this within 100th of each other is easier said than done.
Yeah, it does sound like it would, you've got the same parts, the same card, everything's the same, but they doesn't necessarily work out that way.
And again, and NMCA was a perfect example of that. So I'm out there with my car just absolutely crushing it, but I'm a 10th faster than my team cars.
Mm.
And it's not because, I want to be the fastest car. Like, that's the game. It's like my car's got the 760 running it, and the other cars don't. We have to figure out why.
Why?
Yeah.
So, and again, we're close. We're very close, but it took 3 engine swaps, 4 supercharger, tear downs, and we got guys at the shop like taking engines in and out of these cars. The engines don't come in and out of these cars easy. I mean,
right.
It's not like a Pro Stock or a Top Fuel where you get it in and out in 70 minutes. Like on average, if we have to swap an engine at the track, you absolutely can't do it between rounds unless you have 3 hours between 2 rounds.
Wow.
You need a solid 4 of us. You need a solid 3 hours to swap an engine in these cars. So, again, we're swapping engines. We're going back to the track, and everything is based on how much power you have. So if you have an engine in the car that's weak, and then you take one out and you replace it with one that's hot, like you can't go 2 feet. I mean, the driver lets off the brake and it's instant smoke. So you have to handle all these things, and this is why the class is so competitive, and it really takes a very specific approach to get it done.
And I think to fully appreciate what AJ and Kevin do at the track, I mean, to see those 2 guys in action, it's like an orchestra. They download the tunes, or they're collaborating on the tune up for the next run, or you'll see AJ in the trailer with the supercharger dissecting, changing this and changing that while Kevin's doing other stuff. I mean, it's like a ballet.
Just a unison team, exactly. Right?
I mean, it'd be great if you guys came out to like an NMCA event, or even
I would love to
see what they do between rounds. It is amazing. I watch them with the tunes, and they plug them into the car, and the calls they have to make for the next run. Do you want to be aggressive, not aggressive, give it more time, less time, whatever. It's amazing what AJ and Kevin do, and it just blows me away.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the win.
Oof. I don't even know where to begin on that one.
Oh man, and I have to give a shout out also to Dennis. Is it Chison? I think his last name
Dennis
is
Chazon. Yes,
Chazon. Sorry, thank you.
You want to talk about a good sport? So he was like out, like parked, and at the end of the day, like we all get along, but we're all competitive too. Like we all want to win.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, he just came over, like all the videos. I mean, he was bummed. I mean, his car was down and he had some bad luck. But man, like he really, because I'm contrary to what you may think after seeing me here, like I'm pretty reserved, like at the track. So that's why I don't have a camera in the car. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not very social media in your face, like type of person. I try to be quiet and just kind of do what I do. But yeah, Dennis came 360 camera on the car. Like
I'm really happy
he video for you, AJ. Like just, And again, even after I won, so I don't know any of these people really. Like they know who I am, but nobody knows me. Like it's my first season with everybody, and Trip Carter, who I beat in final at Norwalk. I mean, him and his wife come over with 2 bottles of champagne. They're like, "Listen, this is the one you opened in Winner's Circle. And this is the one you open with your crew." And like it was very, very humbling for me because again, these people don't know me, and yet I'm green to running competitive at this level. I'm green as a driver in this class. I'm green to winning, and it's like it was such a big deal because it was my first race that I won, and we've all been working so hard, and like here you go, like they kind of passed the torch to me, and it was a very humbling experience.
That's awesome. Now I do have a clip of, I think this might have been, there's Tim. There's your buddy. Yeah, like you're kind of a big deal, eh, bud?
You're kind of a big deal.
No, not me. Tim's a big deal.
Yeah, you kind of are. But I think this is your first round at Norwalk, and just play this here. Was that first round?
I think that was a qualifying pass.
Oh, was it?
Oh,
Jeez, I got all your qualifying. But this next clip, the win that I want to give a shout out to Dennis because he allowed me to use this media in the show tonight. And this is just phenomenal what he put together. It's the best. Such good feels. So thanks, Dennis. You can actually follow him on TikTok. Drag Pack Dennis, I think is his handle there. Okay. So this is the win.
All righty, AJ Berge in the Challenger. Over there in the Summit Racing Equipment. And Trip Carter right here in the 2019 Cobra Jet squared off. We got a drag race, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Cause I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. Wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright.
I love it. That's
He
like
really
it's so awesome.
he really did an amazing job on it. I was so the after party of that was they dared me to get on the roof of the car.
Ooh.
And I did.
You did.
Yeah, and it cost me $1,000 to fix it. I caved in the roof of the car.
No way.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We have pictures. We have pictures. We have evidence.
Oh yeah.
That's so.
Well,
I mean, it's awesome, but it's
they
not
they they asked me to get on the roof of the car, pinup style.
Oh.
That was the joke. That was the real joke.
So where's the pictures, David?
No, wait, well,
where's the picture?
We'll joke about it, but that's,
okay.
I think we're over in time. I think. I don't think we have time for that.
David.
But that's what it's all about, that win and the experience. And just, watching that video, I get goosebumps every time. It just makes me smile.
No, it was
just seeing you win that. It was just incredible.
Let me tell you something. When I saw the wind light come on, because you have the wind lights down in the shutdown.
Okay.
When I came, because I didn't know, I really didn't know who won, because I knew he had gotten out on me. And I knew I was reeling him in, but it was really close in the car. And when I saw the finish, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So I have my knee gives me fits from all the years of bending down on the lift. I was at the dealer for 17 years. So my one knee always from bending on the lift. So I woke up the next day, my knee was so sore, and I'm like, why is my knee so sore? I punched myself in the knee so hard when I won. In the car, I was beating my knee. So,
that's awesome. Hey, when I hit a number, I cried. I mean, I get it. It's just phenomenal. But I seriously want to thank you and David for joining us tonight.
No, thank you for having us. It was very nice. I know we didn't necessarily stay on topic. But.
You know what? That's why live is great, and I think if we give too much information to people, they're not going to retain it anyways, right? So
how can we get you two at an NMCA race or NHRA race? We got to get you guys at a race.
Yeah, sponsor us out
there. We'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be at one for sure.
I'd be
we'll get Tara down here.
Oh yeah, I soak it all in. I'm just like so crazy when I get to go to these things.
Well, I mean, before we know it, the season's going to be here. I think the NMCA kickoff is going to be in Orlando this year.
That is correct. It's the weekend after the Gator Nationals, be at Orlando Speed World.
Yep.
So the Gators first in Gainesville, then we go across the state and we go to Orlando.
So save the date.
Yes.
Yeah, save the date.
I'll send you guys a date. Florida's nice in March.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So much, guys, for joining us tonight. Just a real pleasure to finally talk to you, sir. All the best and congrats on your win.
Really, the pleasure's all mine. I really enjoy, the opportunity to, like I said, I have a really big team behind me, friends, family, associates, sponsors. I couldn't do it without every single one of them. And, David has really helped me this year, because I'm terrible. I don't really like
all the media stuff.
I don't. I don't. It's really not me.
Lot.
So it's been a great year. I'm really blessed to be where I'm at.
And David, if somebody wants to reach out to you for any media help, where do they reach you?
Best places on Facebook. Just I'm on, I'm always on Facebook. Just David A. Hakeem. They can message me, and if they need any media assets for AJ and his drag pack, we'll send anything out we can do. So
awesome.
Just have them reach out to me on Facebook would be the best way.
Okay.
Cool.
Great. Well, thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you so much. Take care. Good night. Well, that's it for tonight's show. Awesome. I think we're going to be back in November, but we'll put the posts out and let everybody know. But thank you so much for our viewers. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.